This is StopFake, a program in which we tell you about fraud and propaganda in the media and their possible consequences. I'm George Sayevich. The Kremlin knows how to attack weak spots, and its propaganda constantly does so, using children, for example, like in this story. This past summer, on the eve of International Children's Day, Faina Savenkova, a 12-year-old resident of the occupied city of Luhansk, sent a video appeal to the UN. She said, "In 2014, Ukrainian planes attacked my hometown, dropping bombs on our homes and strafing us. Many adults and children died. Adults were forced to take up arms." Dmitry Polyansky, Russia's first deputy permanent representative to the United Nations, was the first to post this video on the Telegram channel. In line with a classic scheme of propaganda using Telegram, Polyansky's repost was, that very day, spread by Russian news outlets RIA Novosti and Izvestia. Faina Savenkova addressed her next appeals to the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, and to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, asking them to try to influence the government of Ukraine. Her words, again, were instantly picked up by Kremlin media. On October 20, it became known that Faina's letter was received by the UN Secretariat. The herald of this information was the very same Dmitry Polyansky, again on Telegram. It looks like a fairly well-coordinated scheme, doesn't it? A young girl writes a letter, Polyansky announces it, and propagandists quickly disperse this information. During a daily press briefing on October 19, one of the journalists asked Farhan Haq, deputy spokesperson for the UN Secretary General, whether the Secretary General had received a letter from Faina Savenkova. Ever curious, we wondered who was this journalist. We checked and found Alan Bulkati, head of the New York Bureau of RIA Novosti. The UN spokesperson at that press briefing confirmed that the letter had been received, but warned against involving children in such operations. However, on November 2nd, Russian media announced a new letter, this time one received by UNICEF. Once again, a single primary source, a post on Telegram by Russia's first deputy ambassador to the UN, Dmitry Polyansky. 6 minutes after its publication, the news of the letter to UNICEF appeared on Russia's TASS and was immediately disseminated by other Russian media. Coincidence? We think not. In his post, Polyansky claimed that he had already, quote, received a reaction from UNICEF Executive Director Henrietta Fore to a copy of Faina Savenkova's letter we sent recently, and UNICEF plans to discuss the situation with relevant partners in Ukraine, unquote. StopFake found no publication on behalf of UNICEF or personally Henrietta Fore about a possible response to the letter from a resident of the Donbas, nor was the official text of the answer published by Russian media. The text of Faina Savenkova's so-called letter is publicly available, currently posted on Donbas Insider, a propaganda site that constantly lies, repeatedly claiming that the Ukrainian army is shelling the civilian population of the Donbas. Unfortunately, Faina Savenkova has become just the most recent weapon of the Kremlin in its propaganda war against Ukraine. Russian authorities are using a minor, a girl from the temporarily occupied territories, in their information operations, perhaps even without her knowledge. Faina says that, quote, the children of the Donbas want to smile and rejoice in life, but they can't do so while the war is going on, unquote. Why can't she just write about it to the Russian occupiers and ask them to stop the war? She already knows how to address her letter. New York, the United Nations, First Deputy Permanent Representative of the Russian Federation, Dmitry Polyansky. The website of the German government's media company Deutsche Welle has been blocked in Belarus, allegedly because its materials have an extremist content. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova immediately commented, like a month ago when RT's German language service was blocked on YouTube, no one from the German government was disturbed by such a major decision by an overseas company. And here we have the German ambassador in Minsk demanding that Belarus authorities provide clarification and restore access for Deutsche Welle. However, there is a difference between censorship on the one hand and propaganda and the spread of disinformation on the other. RT had received a warning from YouTube administrators about downloading unacceptable material and false medical information about COVID-19. That is to say, RT lost the right to publish new materials because of its fakes about COVID and vaccination. RT spread conspiracy theories, such as posting a video questioning the second wave of the pandemic, disseminated a false claim that the vaccination of the elderly in Norway has been suspended. YouTube stated that it does not allow the posting of content about COVID-19 that poses a serious risk of serious harm. As for Belarus, pressure on the press and civil society in the country has intensified since the August 2020 presidential election. Currently, several opposition and Western news sources are blocked in the country. Tut by Radio Liberty, Current Time. Over the past year, thousands of criminal cases have been filed by the government against disloyal citizens, and tens of thousands have been forced to emigrate. And here's another story about fakes on RT, the Russian government's TV channel. Its website recently featured an announcement of a film that will, quote, soon be shown on English language channel RTD, unquote. This is one of the platforms of the RT group, which specializes in documentary films. The title of the announcement is, quote, The Opinion of Brave People, what the American film about independent Ukraine is about, unquote. It goes on to say that the creators of the film reflect on the real reasons for Kyiv's independence in 1991 and analyze the 30-year period of existence of sovereign Ukraine. Their conclusion, Ukraine was not ready for an independent existence and therefore over the past 3 decades had to endure enormous difficulties. The so-called experts call the American film The Opinion of Brave People and state that having lost its strong ties with Russia, Ukraine has lost its chances for progressive development. However, here's what's interesting. The RTD piece claims that the film was created by the American company Global 3 Pictures, Inc. Analysts of The Insider decided to check this out. The Facebook page of Global 3 Pictures, Inc. shows Nothing New, a film dedicated to the 30th anniversary of Ukraine's independence, and Oliver Stone's 2016 documentary, Ukraine on Fire. The same Oliver Stone who is a Putin supporter and who built his film around an interview with pro-Russian Ukrainian politician Viktor Medvedchuk. The company's website, however, turned out to be even more interesting. It is filled with materials in the Thai language and offers services unconnected with the film industry. This was actually a company that provided consultations on forklifts for loading heavy cargo and on selling building equipment to buyers in Thailand. The company was registered in 2011, but soon ceased operations. The registered owner was one Igor Lopatyonok. He is a Ukrainian producer who once made films for Russian TV channels and collaborated with Oliver Stone. Lopatyonok was the director of the mentioned film Ukraine on Fire. His business activity, however, undermined his work as a propagandist. It seems that after working with Stone, Lopatyonok decided to use his resources for more stable earnings, the actual sale of used forklifts to Thai builders. That's all we have for today. Check the information, do not trust questionable resources, and read StopFake.org in order to quickly receive truthful news. George Sayevich was your host. See you next week.